Midweek Insights, the deep dive into meteorology over the next several days, the why behind the forecast and how things are shaping up the way they are. First of all, in this video together, we're going to talk about the stubborn offshore storminess that's been around. Not necessarily one storm, but persistent storminess in the same place, and that does have an impact on our weather. There's multiple key interactions. We'll take a look at that. Relatively cool weather going to continue. We talked about this in pattern predictions, which is still up, by the way, on our website and our app. Disturbances every other day that'll be rippling through as well. I'm going to talk about pattern predictions and other videos. I'll reference them. Just a reminder, you can watch all of it all the time, streaming on New England's only weather network. That is the 1 Degree Outside Network on your smart TV. In the YouTube app, search 1 Degree Outside Network. Online at 1degreeoutside.live or right in our app, linked across the top of the home screen. Let's start out with a jet stream pattern. I won't belabor this because we did go deep into this in pattern predictions, but the bottom line, even though it looks like we're getting a little bit of a break from the troughing or dip in the jet stream, it's coming back. More energy that's coming out of southern Canada. The northern tier of the United States will carve a jet stream trough out again. I can show you that to you here, and you'll see that over the course of the next several days, as that jet stream trough returns, what that means is the cool air housed on the northern side of the jet stream returns to the forecast. It's even possible that we see a little bit of snow that pops into the forecast in some of the mountains. We'll get to that coming up in this video as well. Of course, it is pollen time of the year. One of the nice things about this pattern is you've had some days with sunshine. It's been mild inland, but it hasn't been exceptionally mild. It's been cool near the coast. This has been a slow release of the pollen. Now, it doesn't stop it from being high, which it will continue to be on a number of days, although Thursday comes down with showers that move through. But again, it's not the same kind of intense, oh my goodness, all at once blast that we've gotten in some recent years when you've seen a lot of early spring warmth. So high temperatures, we head into the middle of the week, kind of in the squeeze here. Showers coming in to the mid coast of Maine, trying to back in through Casco Bay, just offshore of Massachusetts, kind of tickling the outer Cape at times by late in the day in particular. Farther west you go, showers closing in from upstate New York, and in between, we're doing all right. It's still cooler near the coastline here at our midweek, and then again, those showers will kind of close in as we get to Wednesday night and Thursday. Here is the timestamp in the upper left going from midday Wednesday into the evening and night, and the showers kind of backing in on us from the east, moving in on us from the west, and that's why on Thursday we do expect it to rain in the morning. It'll probably be a wet morning commute. It'll be off and on rain during the course of the day Thursday. I think the interesting thing here are the interactions between the storm that's going to be kind of developing right over southern New England and moving into the Gulf of Maine on Thursday, another storm that's up in Canada, and energy aloft. The way all of it interacts will determine precise timing and placement of these. So certainly in our 1 Degree Outside Today 24-hour forecast that we put out each early morning, we're going to be fine-tuning a lot of this with the details, but the idea here is as we get into Thursday evening, we actually may start to get behind the storm. Whatever the precise timing is to the hour on when it goes by is important, because what you do is you change the wind direction from the persistent onshore wind that keeps low clouds and drizzle and showers. And then once you swing that wind around, it's a northwest wind. You start to dry the atmosphere, the cloud deck starts to rise, and colder but drier air moves back in. Cold enough that as we look at the forecast going into Friday and Friday night and Saturday, there's a little bit of blue that shows up in the mountainous terrain. That's right, some snow showers come into play in the high terrain to start the weekend. More on that in just a second. In terms of atmospheric energy, it's interesting that you've got one big lobe of energy sitting with the ocean storm. That kind of goes away, but the problem is it leaves this shadow of energy behind, and then there's more that comes in from the west. So that keeps at least weak low pressure out near the ocean. The other thing it does is it allows new low pressure to develop overhead on Thursday as that next round or lobe of energy comes through. And notice there's this big, cold, energetic center that's sitting up over Quebec and Ontario. And as this continues to kind of rotate around, it swings lobes of energy through. And that's why you keep the scattered shower chance up, even as you get drier air to come back into play. So a little bit more specifically here as we go out through the midweek. Again, I told you that on Wednesday, it's mid-coast of Maine, maybe a couple of showers backing into Casco Bay as we get to midday. I think we're fine through a lot of the rest of New England. It is definitely cooler east than it is west. A couple of sprinkles may come onto the outer Cape on Wednesday afternoon. By Wednesday evening at 6:15, you may get a sprinkle into the Boston area. Better chance of a quick shower into Cape Ann. And again, we start to fill it in Maine. We start to fill it in through upstate New York. And then overnight Wednesday night is when we close the gap. By 11:15, the rain is coming through western Mass. The showers are kind of still making their way into the coastal plain. And Thursday morning, you're filling that in. Notice even on Thursday morning, in terms of the morning commute from, let's say, about Portsmouth and Kittery running up to Portland, you could be in between. Same thing at Route 16 in New Hampshire. It's not guaranteed to be raining at 7 in the morning on Thursday, but it is very likely to rain over the course of Thursday morning into the midday. We'll watch the back edge of this. Again, so key is the speed of the system ejecting out of Boston Harbor into the Gulf of Maine for southern New England. If you have Thursday evening plans, notice in this representation, there's still at least some scattered showers around. The last one I showed you, it was gone. That's how fine it is in terms of the exact timing on this one. That's why I say as we get closer to it in those 24-hour forecasts, we'll continue to fine-tune that for you as well. Total rain amounts, we'll take what we can get, right? We still don't have leaves on the trees for the most part. And so that means no shade on the ground. And that's dried out last year's dead brush and leaves and things of that nature. So to pick up somewhere around half an inch of rain would be beneficial. But we went into this week saying that somebody in Maine may get over 2 inches of rain. It still looks that way. Still looks like because you get that constant plume that comes off the ocean, it adds up over the course of time and you end up with more rain than a lot of the rest of us. Again, most of us could use that rain. I think that on Thursday, with the system going by, it's going to keep the temperature down so that even once the wind shifts, if you put an end to the showers, let's say into the evening or first part of the night, it's going to be too little too late in terms of trying to help out the temperature. But again, it keeps the pollen down that day. Thursday night, the cooler air streams in. Friday, expect to find a cool day for many. You see a lot of green on here. I think this is probably a little more pessimistic than reality. Reality is these will end up being kind of scattered showers that pop up and mostly during the second half of the day. But in terms of the colder air that's coming in with it, this is the atmospheric temperature about 6,000 feet above our heads. So we'll call it somewhere near the top of Mount Washington. But nonetheless, you can see the red line representing what is the freezing line at that level. And watch the way it comes through us as we get into Thursday afternoon and evening, and then just keeps going. We go sub-freezing through a deep layer of the cloud level as we get in through Friday, and that will be the case into Saturday as well. And that's the reason why, believe it or not, when you look at the percent chance of getting an inch of snow accumulation, in some of the high terrain of the greens, it's over 30%, 30 to 40%. Same thing in the high terrain of the presidentials and the mountains of Maine, even higher when you get into portions of northern New York. Interesting to note, there's even a 10% chance of an inch of snow coming down to parts of the hilly terrain of southern New England. Don't think that's going to happen. Not in the actual forecast. Here's the prediction in terms of what we might get for snow. Again, this is days out. It's just, I think, fascinating that we're still talking about this potential, right? And it's mostly going to be high terrain across northern New England. So many of you have been asking about a couple of different things. First of all, you've been asking about the pattern going through the rest of the spring into summer. One thing that we've been saying really in the monthly forecast for a couple of months, pattern predictions as well, we are susceptible to backdoor cold fronts. What that means is when air sneaks in out of Canada through Maine, comes in over the ocean and works in out of the Northeast. And part of what I've been telling you is because there's been a lot of snow and cold in Canada this winter. It's not just this winter. Look at the forecast between now and halfway through the weekend. I mean, you start getting up into parts of East Central Canada, north of the St. Lawrence, and that deep blue that you see is on the order of 6 to 8 inches of snow. The purple is a fresh 8 to 12 or more. So we are still putting snow down in eastern Canada, which basically means you still have this wealth of cold. So when you can turn a wind northerly or northeasterly for long enough, you can bleed that cold in. And I think we're going to see that kind of phenomenon for weeks to come, probably deep into June. Doesn't mean every day's ruined. It just means be on the lookout for what will be backdoor cold fronts probably deep into the month of June, the way it looks right now. Okay, meanwhile, heading into the weekend, another thing everybody's asking about, right? Looks like a big storm organizing down to our south. We still have jet stream disturbances coming by. You get that big upper level low that we looked at coming out of Ontario and Quebec. This does mean there's the chance of a pop-up shower on Saturday, but it's mostly in northern New England rather than southern New England. Either way, cooler than normal air certainly will be with us here heading into the weekend. Again, we talked about the fact that some flakes may mix in high terrain. Saturday night down to the 30s, and I mentioned this because this is yet another thing a lot of you have been asking us about. And we're always paying attention to what you're asking us, and we try to work it into our videos, whether we call out the fact that you asked us or not. But essentially, you're asking about when do we get down below freezing again, and is there a chance we still will? And the answer to that is very much yes. Not only on Saturday night with temperatures going down below freezing across northern New England, but look how cool you get into southern New England. And by the time we get to Sunday, it's not like you're a lot warmer during the day, even if you're drier, so that Sunday night we get back down to the 30s again. And actually, this takes you out now into the first couple of days of May. I would say through about May 5th, you still have the chance that you may go slip below freezing, even down to the deep interior of southern New England. So just keep that in mind that no, I don't think we're guaranteed to be done with sub-freezing temperatures yet. Many of you in southern New England are done with them. I just wouldn't make that promise, particularly for the interior of southern New England points north, given what we're seeing in the pattern out through about the middle of next week. Membership.onedegreeoutside.com. Only mention that because if you love these videos and you say, I want to support these guys, no corporate ownership, no investor money. It's us and it's you. So we appreciate everybody who's become a member. That's how it looks for now. Hope you like these. We will keep them coming always at the 1 Degree Outside Weather Network.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this 1 Degree Outside video.
Get exclusive content, support the mission at membership.onedegreeoutside.com. And don't forget, free and 5 stars on the App Store and Google Play. Search the #1 Degree Outside Weather.